Yo, what is going on, guys? Flashverse here, and welcome back to another video on Arrow. Now, just in case for those who aren't aware why I'm doing an Arrow video, it's just because recently I've been rewatching previous seasons of Arrow, and I came up with this video idea to do where I take my top 5 favorite episodes from each season and I rank them for a video. So today's video will pretty much be the second video of this series, and I will be ranking my top 5 favorite episodes of Arrow Season 2, which is the most favorable season amongst most of the fan base. And don't get me wrong, when rewatching this season I completely understand why. It's just because this season is so consistent, and it's the most consistent season out of all 8 seasons of Arrow, and pretty much the most consistent season in the Arrowverse in general. And like, none of the episodes in this season, all of the 23 episodes, I wouldn't give under an 8.5 out of 10. They're literally an 8.5 out of 10 or higher. However, I just don't consider this the best season of Arrow. Yes, it's absolutely amazing, but I'm just not that connected to it as I am for like Arrow Season 5 and Arrow Season 8, which are my 2 favorite seasons. Just in case you guys want to check out my part 1 where I take my top 5 favorite episodes of Arrow Season 1, I will link that in the description down below so you guys can check that out as well. Now, because of how consistent Arrow Season 2 is, this list was incredibly hard to choose from because all of the episodes are just so good, but I believe I was able to come up with my top 5 favorite episodes. So as I said before, this series will mainly focus only on Arrow Season 1, Season 2, 3, 5 and 8. Mainly because Season 4, 6 and 7 aren't that good of seasons. Not many people care about them as much as they do for the other seasons that I've mentioned. However, I did say that I was going to do a special one for Arrow Season 4 where I do the top 5 worst episodes of Arrow Season 4. But before I go over anything, however, you guys don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you are aware of more Arrowverse content coming your way. Okay, so let's go over this list, starting with number 5. Now, this episode is near the end of Arrow Season 2. This is Arrow Season 2 episode 19, titled The Man Under the Hood. And it was just such a phenomenal episode. The story within this episode and how it just leads to Slade's plan, it was just all great. Manu Bennett just does such an amazing job as Deathstroke. He's the best live action version of Deathstroke we've ever had and probably will ever have. He's just so menacing and he just plays the role so well. The part where Deathstroke invades the bunker and just wrecks everyone in Team Arrow to grab the skeleton key was so damn good. It was incredibly well choreographed and it was so well paced. The flashbacks in this episode as well were great. Quentin's storyline in prison with Laurel was awesome as well, and how he mentions that he doesn't want to know who the Arrow is for his specific reasons. It was just such a great line. Also, Laurel does get the reveal that Sarah Lance is the Black Canary in this episode as well. But this episode was just so good and it deserves an overall score of a 9.5 out of 10.
No one dies tonight. Back down!
You should kill me.
Now, this episode, Arrow Season 2, episode 20, titled Seeing Red, was such an emotional episode in my opinion, and it was great as well. The whole story with Roy was pretty enjoyable to see, and how he just loses it on everyone due to the overdose on Mirakuru, I really liked. I also really liked how Moira revealed to Oliver that she knows that Oliver was the Arrow. I just thought it was such a pivotal and just such a not expecting moment. It was just such like you didn't see it coming basically. But as we had Moira flashbacks in this episode, it was quite obvious that something was going to happen, which leads to such a shocking moment where Slade makes Oliver choose between Moira and Thea, just like what happened to him on the island between Sarah and Shadow. And it was just so great. It was such an amazing callback as well. The death of Moira Queen, that whole scene was just incredibly intense, so well acted and just so perfectly written. It was such a great episode. The death of Moira Queen is by far one of the saddest death scenes in the Arrowverse as well. And this episode deserves an overall score of a 9.7 out of 10.
No chances, no mistakes.
What's wrong, Mr. Queen? You look a little peaked.
Now, I absolutely loved this episode. Arrow Season 2, Episode 15, titled The Promise, was an amazing episode of Arrow from start to finish. It was really hard choosing between top 3 because, as I said before, Arrow Season 2 is just truly amazing. It's very, very consistent. And this episode, it was just incredible. The present day storyline was so incredibly intense while we had Slade in the Queen Mansion, while Roy, Oliver, and Sarah were just trying to find this perfect moment to take Slade down. And what makes this so much more intense was when Slade revealed why he's in Starling City and why he wants to make Oliver suffer. It was just great. And when Slade mentioned to Oliver that he wants to fulfill the promise that he made to Oliver, it was so good. And for the flashbacks as well, it was really, really great. We get to see how this great brotherly friendship between Slade and Oliver just gets ripped apart into a full-on rivalry, all because of the death of Shadow. It was just absolutely amazing, so well written. And this episode, especially with Stephen Amell and Manu Bennett, it was so well acted. Both actors played their parts so well. I will give this episode a 9.8 out of 10.
He's human. Well, then you can kill him. It's time you joined me.
Now, this obviously is the mid-season finale of Arrow Season 2. Arrow Season 2 Episode 9, titled The Three Ghosts, and it was just awesome. In this episode, we had the return of Barry Allen, which was so great to see. And we also get to see him save Oliver as well with rat poison, I think it was. It was just great. This episode is pretty much like a game of chess where every move and every scene that takes place just leads to a way better and more intense moment. We obviously had Oliver hallucinating between the three ghosts. In the flashbacks, we obviously get to see the death of Shadow as well, which was really, really sad. It just played out very similarly to Moira's death, where Oliver had to choose between Shadow or Sarah, and Ivo basically forced Oliver to choose between one. And obviously Oliver chooses to save Sarah over Shadow, which leads to Ivo killing Shadow. It was just such an emotional and intense moment. But with the icing on the cake, we had Oliver losing hope that he cannot defeat this Mirakuru soldier. He's helpless against someone with super strength. And then we had Tommy's ghost kick in with this beautiful motivational speech that motivates Oliver into basically defeating this bad guy. This just elevated the emotion in this scene between Oliver and Tommy. But also we had the reveal that Slade Wilson indeed survived Lian Yu, and he's in Starling City. And with his dialogue, we find out that he wants Oliver to lose everything and everyone he loves. And after that, he will drive an arrow right through his eye, which was just such a chilling moment. But then a WTF moment we had was that the Flash was born in this episode. This was the episode where Barry got struck by lightning and basically becomes the Flash. I'll give this episode a 9.9 out of 10.
You are done. When I say you're done.
Now, this doesn't come as a surprise at all, but the season finale of Arrow Season 2, Episode 23, titled The Unthinkable, is such an incredible episode. I absolutely loved this episode. The flashbacks and present day were both so good. I just loved how Oliver teams up with the League of Assassins to take out these Mirakuru soldiers with the cure, and how Oliver doesn't want to kill anymore. He just orders them by saying no killing. It was just such a great moment, and how we see him develop from a killer to basically someone who doesn't kill. And I just loved that scene where we had like a bunch of Mirakuru soldiers versus a group of archers. It was such an amazing scene. We also had that mini Suicide Squad mission as well, where Diggle and Lila take out the Suicide Squad members from their prison cells to stop Amanda Waller from basically bombing Starling City and taking out the Mirakuru soldiers. But what I absolutely loved from this episode was the fight scene between the Green Arrow and Deathstroke. I just loved the transitions between present day and flashbacks. It just worked so well. The rivalry between Oliver and Deathstroke was just amazing. But most importantly, I loved how Oliver let Slade live. He did not kill him, and as I said before, it was just such a great moment to see how he's developed to someone who doesn't kill. And the fact that Slade killed Oliver's mother and Oliver has the humanity to spare him, I just loved it. So this episode was just so good, and I will give it a 10 out of 10. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Tell me in the comment section down below what you guys think about Arrow Season 2, and be sure to tell me your top 5 favorite episodes of Arrow Season 2 as well. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.